Smoke rose from the trees, creating a plume that I could see a quarter-mile from the entrance to our property. Fall bonfires were commonplace here, the easiest and most efficient way to get rid of the carpets of leaves. Even though it was still early for such practices in mid-September, I doubted anyone would even notice. Hoods were backwoods folk, a necessity when charged with the policing and, when necessary, destruction of werewolves. We lived where they lived, away from civilization as much as civilization would allow. In Chicago, I'd be alone. No hoods, no wolves. Maybe an occasional vampire. No slayers, they were all dead. The 12-foot gate that surrounded our compound would raise eyebrows in the lower peninsula, but in the UP, privacy was respected. Did the locals know that behind those gates, in addition to a house, a barn, and garage, was a state-of-the-art training facility for the House of Red? Unlikely. Cousins, aunts, and uncles had their own homes and mini-compounds dotted across our territory, stretching from the Great Lakes to the Dakotas above the 45th parallel. But the head of the operation and the command of the region lay with the matron of our bloodline, my mother. The gates clanged shut behind me, and I felt the weight of the cameras pivoting as old Bessie started her way up the half-mile drive to the house. The smoke here was thicker, and the taste of it tickled my tongue and scratched at the back of my throat. Tonight's bonfire must have been bigger than usual. I needn't wonder why. As I got close enough to the house, a sea of trucks, SUVs, and smaller all-terrain vehicles formed a veritable parking lot. It wasn't unusual for a few family members to drive out for Feuernacht and spend a few days reporting to my mother, but tonight it looked as though everyone had shown up. Great! My mother would be distracted and wouldn't have the vaguest clue that, "And just where have you been, Gerwalta?" My mother's voice could crack lake ice in January. I dropped my car keys in the basket by the door and found myself trapped in the entryway. Leaning against a wall, Brunhilde Klein met descriptions of both terrifying and beautiful. Her long black hair, streaked with gray, sat atop her head in a severe bun. Her ivory skin still held a touch of youth, though the lines on her forehead and at the corners of her eyes grew deeper by the year. Solid biceps flexed as she crossed her arms and glared at me, waiting for an answer, a scowl contorting a face that rarely knew smiles, save when born of exacting pain on wolves, or in the precious moments when my father could woo the little softness left within her. Like I said this morning, I had to work today. Yes, and you told me you were getting off at 5:30. It's nearly night now. Where have you been in the intervening 2 hours? The best way to lie to my mother was not to tell her only a partial truth and hope she didn't consider it worth her time to ask for more. I ran into Cody. I bit my tongue before saying, literally. I know that much. I can smell the beast's stench all over you. She straightened her back and arched an eyebrow. And exactly what were you doing with the alpha's son? The same thing we always do, Mother, making out and dry humping and wishing we could sleep together without so many consequences. And also, he proposed. Just talking. Just talking. My words rebounded, coated in a layer of acid. Can I remind you, daughter, that someday, when you are the matron of our bloodline, he will be your adversary, that you talk with him is concern enough, that you two are friends is something that must end. I stared at the carpet, feeling as tall in my mother's eyes as the faded shag beneath my feet. Maybe I don't want to be matron.